Drum roll, second graders, it's time. You guys are going to be doing your animal habitat research. You have been asking me ever since you were in kindergarten, when do we get to make those? When do we get to make those? It's finally your chance. I'm so excited for you guys. I've already talked to some of you and I know how excited you are. So let's get started. What we have here is your animal habitat lesson. And you might be wondering, what does she mean by animal habitat? What is a habitat? A habitat is the natural home or environment of an animal, plant, or other organism. So we could have done this project for plants as well, but I bolded animal because I want you to remember this is just going to be an animal habitat project. But you might learn about plants while you're doing your research. Before we go any further with this lesson, I just want to show you some of my favorite animal habitats that I have kept throughout the years. And I'm also showing you these because this is the expectation. This is really how high the bar is set and how much effort I really want you to put into these projects. So the first one, the first one is a bear habitat. And this student used some real simple materials. They grabbed a box out of the recycling bin. You could tell there's a lot of different construction paper that was used and cut. And it's a bear habitat. And without even putting the bear figurine inside, you can tell it's a bear habitat because one, it's in the mountains with some forests. You can see the bear cave right here. It's shelter, it's home. You could see some of the food that the bear eats, the salmon in the river. Okay, and then lastly, what the student does is they tape down this little bear guy in there. And I know that you might not have figures in your house. That's okay. You can make them. All right. Another one I want to show you is this fabulous underwater ocean habitat. And there was a whale in here, but he fell out. But there's all the other things that whales need in their environment to survive, right? Water, food, shelter in the weeds, things like that. What I want to do now is I want to kind of expose you to some different animal habitats that might make sense. You might have heard them before, or they might be totally new places for you. Some animals live in the desert. Some animals live in grasslands. Some animals live in mountains or in the forest. And animals that live in the mountain or in forests can kind of live interchangeably in these two places. Sometimes the forests are on mountains. Some animals live in ponds or rivers. Some animals live in the Arctic where it's very, very cold, or the rainforest where it can be pretty warm and humid. And then lastly, some animals live in the ocean. What I want to do now is read this story to you boys and girls. It's called Where Do Animals Live? And the story is going to go into detail about each habitat. So really listen up because you might start to learn some information about your animal habitat. Where Do Animals Live? By Bobby Kalman. What is a habitat? A habitat is a place in nature. Animals live in habitats. Some habitats are on land, some habitats are in water. Turtles live on land and in water. A turtle has come out of the water to warm its body in the sun. The alligator is warming itself too. What do animals need? To stay alive, animals need air, water, and food. They need sunlight to keep them warm. Animals find everything they need in their habitats. Hummingbirds get food from the flowers in their habitats. This crocodile caught a fish to eat in its habitat. The crocodile lives in water, but it comes up to breathe air above water. A forest habitat. A forest is a habitat with many trees. There are different kinds of forests. This sloth lives in a rainforest. A rainforest gets a lot of rain. This three-toed sloth eats and sleeps in the trees of its rainforest habitat. Dry deserts. Deserts are dry habitats. They do not get much rain. Plants called cacti grow in some deserts. Cacti have sharp spines. Spines are like needles. Iguanas are lizards that live in deserts. They eat cacti. This iguana climbed on top of a cactus. Yikes. Mountain habitats. A mountain is tall, rocky land. The top of a mountain is cold and windy. The bottom of a mountain is warmer. Mountain goats live at the top of mountains in the summer. They live at the bottom of mountains in the winter. They can find more food there in the winter. Mountain goats have hoofs. The hoofs of these baby mountain goats helps them climb up and down the mountains. Grassland homes. A grassland is a flat habitat that is covered with grasses and other plants. This grassland is called a meadow. Many red foxes live in meadows. Foxes live in homes called dens. The den of this red fox kit or baby is inside a log in a meadow. Very cold habitats. There are two very cold habitats on Earth. One is the Arctic, the other is Antarctica. The Arctic is at the top of Earth. Antarctica is at the bottom of Earth. Penguins live in Antarctica. Antarctica is the coldest place on Earth. And polar bears live in the Arctic. I know some of you said you were doing your animal habitats on polar bears. Wetland habitats. Many birds live in wetland habitats. Wetlands are covered with water most of the time. These birds are called spoonbills. Spoonbills are wading birds. Wading birds walk in the water to find food. They have long legs and long bills. The bills of spoonbills are like spoons. They help these birds scoop up food underwater. Long legs keep their bodies above water. That sounds like an animal adaptation, that these spoonbills have long legs so they can wade in the water. Ocean habitats. A lot of you chose underwater animals. Many kinds of animals live underwater. Some live in ocean habitats. Oceans are big areas of salty water. Many kinds of fish live in oceans. Sharks live in oceans. Some sharks are very big. The end. So hopefully learning about some of those common habitats helped start to warm your brain up for the research that you are going to begin today. You should already know what your animal is. The next step is to pull out your recording sheet, right? I gave you two. It doesn't matter which one you choose. There's one called the Animal Fact Card, and the other one is called Animal Research Report. So either paper. One is going to require a little bit more research than the other. So you decide which worksheet you want to record your information on. Grab a pencil so that you can start to write that information down. And then you'll start to notice in the following slides that it is time to begin your research. I added some questions down here because these are the questions that you definitely want answered. When you guys start your research, you're going to get really excited about learning everything there is to learn about your animal. But these 4 questions are the most important as you get ready to create your animal habitat project, which will be next week, okay? What habitat does your animal live in? What foods does your animal eat? Where do they find water? And where does your animal find shelter? If you click on this laptop, it will open this website, which gives you tons of kid-friendly websites to help you do your research for your animal. And you can play around, you can go on all of them. Maybe you find one website that you really like. You could always look for books in your home about your animal as well. So whatever it is that you learn about your animal, make sure you record it on your recording sheet, this one or this one. And then please, please, please take a picture of everything you learned right here on this slide so that I can see if you are ready to make your animal habitat next week. All right? You need to prove to me that you know what your animal needs to survive in its habitat. I hope you have fun with your research. Bye, guys.